So basically, Alan breaks out of his cell attempting to save Nolan from his execution. But like our callers thought, this man does not want to be saved.
Don't save her, she don't wanna be saved. Don't save her, she don't wanna be saved.
But Alan has to try anyway, so he breaks out the other prisoners in order to cause a distraction. And it actually works, until he realizes not everyone is as durable as him. With his plan not going as expected, he only has one option left.
Knife on the stick, trying to get jiggy. They had found that boy alive, all of his body parts was missing. It's time to spin, let's go get busy. Bitch, I'm hanging out of the trunk, you breaking BK, come through tree. What the fuck is 17?
Who has the balls, the nerve to release a creature like me, Battle Beast?
Me? I'm the one who freed you. My name is Alan the Alien, you can call me Alan for short.
Why are you here, Alan the Alien? You have till the count of 10 to explain why you're interrupting me.
Basically, there's a mad party going on, and there's Viltrumites for you to fight.
Viltrumites.
One of them is a friend, the other two are fair game.
Fair game, you say?
You win? And with that, Alan and Battle Beast rush over to save Nolan from his execution. But do not get it twisted. The second they arrive, Battle Beast's first question is where are the Viltrumites? He does not care about Nolan's health or well-being, and he charges at the first Viltrumite he sees, kicks him away, and chases after the other one. As he grabs a hold of him, he hits him with a knee to the face and a headbutt just to finish off. And then after this comment right here, I don't know why Viltrumite soldier C13 was still fighting him. Because if you declare that you're gonna kill someone, and then they say,
Is that a promise?
I promise you, you will not win that fight. You might as well go home. As Alan is freeing Nolan from his shackles, he ends up getting snuck by the other Viltrumite and honestly being put in a blender. Bro is getting mixed and matched. We all know he's stronger than this, but he's holding back so Nolan can stop being a bitch. And honestly, I'm here for it, cause this is the same man who went from
I will burn this planet down before I spend another minute living among these animals.
to
I think I miss my wife.
honestly, I agree with the Viltrumites.
You disgrace yourself again!
Finally, Nolan locks in and they get to boxing. Obviously, Nolan is weakened due to the injuries he sustained in the attempted execution, giving the other Viltrumites an advantage. As they meet in the middle having this Dragon Ball Z act clash, Nolan gets sent flying, but like a Capcom character, Alan just switches places with him and rocks the Viltrumite right in his face. These guards whose paychecks I want to see, cause there is no way in hell I'm finna clock into work. Here there is a fight between a Yanopan super soldier, 3 Viltrumites, and a battle hungry maniac, and I'm still gonna pull up and shoot my blasters at him like it's gonna do anything. Alan, realizing this place is way too cramped for all these people to be fighting, decides to take the fight outside. Once in space, Battle Beast snatches a Viltrumite for himself and leaves the other one to run a 2-on-1. He actually begins to hold his own until Nolan puts him in a headlock. Alan repeatedly hammer fists him in the face. Hits him with a dragon throw, and as he rushes towards Alan, Omni-Man does the same, and they crush his head by punching it at the same time. As for the other Viltrumite and Battle Beast, yeah, safe to say the Viltrumite did not survive the encounter. Y'all remember that woman and child Mark tried to save back in season 1? Well, that is the sister and niece of Scott DeVoe. And when I heard this for the first time, I had to do a double take. I had to read that shit again, because there is an obvious difference, to say the least. But in the world we live in today, diversity is key, and I'm not trying to get cancelled. So since Omni-Man left the Earth, the only person left to take responsibility for the death of his sister, his niece, and the other countless people lost in the Chicago incident was Invincible himself. Scott dedicated his life to making Invincibles a living hell. This man stole technology from the government in order to amplify his kinetic absorbing powers so he could be on par with Invincible. Stalked him for months on end in order to pinpoint his exact location and where he would be, disrupted everybody's day and began a rant, only for Invincible to not show up and for him to have to deal with Shapesmith. And in all honesty, I feel sorry for bro. He's having a mental breakdown and the animators are having the time of their lives playing around with the title card meme. And y'all think I'm joking? Just look for yourself.
The people murdered and the countless other lives destroyed. Why is above the law? Why does never pay for his crimes? Where is it when people are trying to put their world back together?
Okay, buddy, we hear you. So, what do you want?
What do I want? I want the truth. I want justice. I want...
And on top of that, you're telling me I wanted Invincible, but I got the washed up fusion of Martian Manhunter and Plastic Man. After this, he attempts to draw out Mark during the memorial for the Chicago incident, interrupting this lady's speech and giving one of his own. Invincible. You think just because you soar through the skies you're above everyone else, but I see you for who you truly are, a bitch. Come and face justice for all the innocent people who died in your squabble. Come and face
Power Flex!
After dropping a mean ass quote, you think he'd do something, but no. He gets no diffed by Adam Eve. After the second failure, Scott was ready to call it quits. He ends up getting captured by breaking out, going back to his apartment, and telling his wife he's done. But like the W wife she is, she insists that he gives it one more shot. I respect the supporting the relationship, but everything has its limits, because her next idea is for him to kidnap her and their son, and use them to draw out Invincible. Anything for love, I guess. But as we know, Mark hasn't gone through enough character development yet, as at first, no hands were thrown, and he tries to talk no jutsu his way out of the situation. Like, if you don't get that weak shit out of here. Of course, Powerplex is not listening to a damn word he says, and he is tweaking off a perk. It gets to the point that Mark has to send Powerplex flying with a punch in order to save his family from danger. But Scott could not care less, as he grabs Invincible by the head and attempts to fry him from the inside out. This results in him killing his wife and child, and then blaming it on Invincible, like he's the one who decided to turn your family into the human version of Kentucky Fried Chicken. After this, Mark grabs Scott by the hand and lets him release all his energy till he burns out, dragging him to prison. And listening to Scott rant about how he's gonna break out of prison, find Invincible, and kill him.
You thought it was over?
Nah. As we cut to Angstrom Levi, who somehow survived, and all the alternate Invincibles gathering up for the Invincible War. And now it's here. On day 1, Mohawk Invincible destroys this prison, and then this other variant probably couldn't wait for February to end, because he gets to scream at the top of his lungs.
I would even keep you as a slave in my empire!
I would even keep you as a slave in my empire!
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
It now shows bits and pieces of all the other heroes trying to deal with the Invincible variants, until our boy Mark shows up to confront Mohawk Invincible. But the one thing about all these Invincible variants is they don't like to waste too much time talking, they're about that action. Mark dodges the first punch and then spears him through a building, only to get hit with something that looks like a punch, straight to the nuts. And y'all might think I'm dragging it, but look at the look on Mark's face. That boy is suffering, but Mohawk Invincible could not care less. As with this sinister look on his face, he uppercuts him, grabs him by the leg, only to slam him onto the ground and chuck him into the air, where the squabbles continue up until they crash onto the ground, trying to outmuscle each other, until Mohawk Invincible hits him with a headbutt and tries to choke him out, but Mark was not going out like that. He instead damages his ears, knocking him out and winning the fight. Moving over to Donald and Cecil, who with the help of the Reaniman were able to kill one of the Invincible variants, which from his perspective is really embarrassing. You're telling me the other variants either survived or died to decent level superheroes, and you got killed by a middle-aged man whose hairline is running away faster than Usain Bolt, a bunch of dead corpses, and Donald. Let that sink in. But with this, they're able to find out that most of the other Invincible variants are weaker than our boy Mark, which gives them a fighting chance. But remember, I said most. As Oliver ends up coming into contact with one of the Invincible variants, and bro must be absolutely shaking in his boots. Adam, Eve, and Mark end up saving a group of heroes from Invincible, only for Omni-Mark to pull up for the assist. And they waste no time, as Omni-Mark charges straight at Adam Eve. He wanted her gone today. While Mark is facing off against Invincible, he grabs him by the arm, slams him into the ground, and stops Omni-Mark from turning Adam Eve into mashed potatoes, swinging his cape around only to get snuck.
What's good?
Eve ends up pushing them into a nearby building. But like Shaq and Kobe, these two are interlinked. They keep applying the pressure, and while Mark is distracted, Omni-Mark again tries to kill Adam Eve. And at this point, I am fully convinced his version of Adam Eve cheated on him with the Immortal, cause the level of determination this man has to turn it into past tense is beyond me. By just barely touching her leg, he completely breaks it, slamming her into the ground. And as he's about to deal the finishing blow, Mark comes in clutch and slams Invincible into him. That last attack ended up putting Adam Eve straight to sleep. Cecil sends some reanimating to distract the other two variants so Mark can head back to the Pentagon so Eve can receive the medical treatments he desperately needs. It shifts over to the Guardians of the Globe, mainly Immortal and Darkwing, actually putting in some work against another Invincible variant. Yeah, I couldn't believe I said that too. In reality, they're getting absolutely washed. And then this version of Mark ends up doing the same thing to Darkwing what Omni-Man did to the original. Like father, like son, I guess. And this version of Mark is so disrespectful. He's honestly bullying the hell out of them and having the time of his life.
I don't need more motivation to kill you, but sure, insult me. Come on! Wait, what did he say when I ripped him in half? Shit, it was like so weird, right? Does anyone remember? Help! I don't want to not be living! Wasn't that it? Or oh no, it was, oh no, I'm going to not be alive! You're a weird dude. Oh. Dude, you ruined the moment.
Is this nigga serious?
The Guardians of the Globe, the best superhero team on the planet, ridiculed and toyed with by a teenager. How the mighty have fallen. As the fight carries on, he then decapitates the Immortal, uses his head as a baseball, chucking him straight through one of Duplicate's clones. That's one way to penetrate it, I guess. But he did not anticipate the GOAT, Darkwing, sacrificing himself by tossing both of them into the Shadowverse, never to be seen again. Now for the most depressing part of the entire episode. This version of Invincible rips Rudy out of one of his robots, and as he's about to kill him, Bulletproof comes with a save, serving as a distraction until someone can come up with a plan. Rex, realizing not everyone is gonna survive, tells Bulletproof to take Rudy and Monster Girl out of there, and that he will run the ISO. Rex is honestly trying his best, using anything and everything in his surroundings to turn it into a bomb. But eventually, he runs out of stuff to use, and as this version of Mark is about to kill him, he calls his bluff, not knowing that he has one more thing left in his arsenal. His entire goddamn
skeleton, dickhead. What the fuck? I'm like, hey, what's up? Since your pretty ass, soon as you came in the door, I just wanna chill, got a sack across the road. Got me to the money, introduced her to my store. Showed her how to whip it, now she really sing along. She my track queen, let her hit the bingo. We be counting up, watching for the flames go. We just set it go, talking about some Lambos. In love with the money, I ain't never let go. And I ain't high with my baby. I just love the mother, get love with my baby, yeah. And I can ride with my baby. I'll be in the kitchen cooking pies with my baby, yeah.
And with his sacrifice, he winds up the Immortal in terms of usefulness. It's day 3 of the war, and at this point the surviving Invincible variants have the planet looking like an average day in Bikini Bottom. They have destroyed every major city on the planet, posed in front of the camera like someone's gonna take a picture for their Instagram. They then meet up with Angstrom to discuss the terms of their deal, but like the slime he is, he ends up betraying them and banishing them to a barren wasteland of a dimension. And Angstrom must have had balls of literal steel in order to have the confidence to challenge Invincible to a one-on-one fight to the death. Mark's response: he uses Cecil's teleporter and slams into Angstrom, grabbing him by the collar. Angstrom prepared for this, so he opens a portal and releases these black balls in order to damage Invincible. And basically his whole game plan was to use the black balls in order to push Invincible into a portal, which would send him to a dimension he probably wouldn't survive in. But unlike last time, Mark knows what he's doing. He understands it now. Mark is smoothly evading all the traps Angstrom is trying to set up, and once he realizes this, he slams it into the ground. He then summons a swarm of black balls in order to try to push Mark into the portal behind him. He ups the pressure as he's trying to get rid of Mark as soon as possible. But unfortunately for Angstrom, Mark has had enough. Something just snapped, something inside of him, and he begins to push against the horde of orbs, cutting them through one by one until he reaches Angstrom himself, grabbing him by the neck. And as he's about to kill him, he slightly hesitates, but Oliver pulls up and demands that Mark put Angstrom's head on a stick. There's only one other child that I know has this much malice and anger in his heart. It's a certain boy.
Look at me! Look at me, boy!
Angstrom takes this moment to flee the battlefield, returning to his dimension. We then get to see the full aftermath of the Invincible War. People are dead, heroes have perished, and Powerplex is once again tweaking off a perk. At the end of all of this, Mark really needs a break. But this old head big body ass Viltrumite named Conquest pulls up on some
Stand ready for my arrival, fuck nigga.
and tells Mark he either has to surrender the earth to Viltrum or die. And if I'm Mark at this moment, with all the shit that's been happening, my name and reputation being dragged through the mud, the lives of innocents being placed on my head, and Eve still in the hospital, what I would want right now more than anything is to hit something as hard as I can.
Good.
They lock arms, but obviously Mark is nowhere as strong as Conquest, so he hits him with a headbutt and slams it into the ground. While telling Mark he couldn't give a damn about the Viltrum Empire's goals of taking over the Earth and ruling the universe. He is here purely and solely for the love of the Fade.
Niggas think I'm fighting to save the day, but really, nigga, I just like to fight.
Mark gets tired of his yapping and punches him in the face, only for Conquest to say,
Okay. That's a start.
really not taking Mark seriously in any way, shape or form. Mark then spears him through a couple of buildings. And even though that was Mark's attack, he ends up getting buried on the rubble. Conquest picks him up by the arm, chokes him out, and demands for more. Him and Battle Beast will be the best of friends. Mark complies by breaking out of his chokehold, attempting to damage his ears and punching him away. But this is when Mark has a big brain moment and hits various combos to knock Conquest into space. So he can reduce the amount of casualties that will occur in this fight. Unfortunately for him, this 1,000-year-old freak show decides to take his blood, turn it into a heart, and does this.
Oh, you nasty ass bastard! He's a freaky ass nigga.
After that very disturbing scene, he charges towards Mark with the most devious grin on his face and bear hugs him all the way down to earth. Mark manages to break out of it, but Conquest could not give a damn as he punches him straight in his face, shattering his goggles. And from there, I knew it was wraps. Anytime Invincible's goggles get shattered, you know he's about to get his ass whooped. Mark was in so much trouble that Debbie permits Oliver to go help him, as long as he stays as safe as possible. And honest to God, Mark needed all the help he can get, because as he looks up, he sees Conquest barreling down towards him.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And Oliver has to watch as his older brother gets his ass beat so bad, we actually get good animation. And in this next scene, Mark really raises his hand, trying to convince the most bloodlusted Viltrumite in the Empire to don't be rash, but instead, Conquest grabs Mark by the neck and tells him to keep trying and keep persevering, that he's actually enjoying this and having the time of his life. While this yammering is going about, Oliver comes in with an uppercut straight to the chin, which actually sends Conquest back a bit. But unfortunately, this will be the loss that he gets off, because directly after, Conquest open palm slaps Oliver onto the concrete, making him do a backflip, grabbing him by the leg and wanting to know his name because he likes to know the name of the people he's about to dismember.
We need to kill him. We need to get him out of here. He's unstable.
As this is happening, Eve wakes up from a coma and flies off to go help Mark, who I remind you is the strongest person on the planet and is looking like this against Conquest. Ain't no harm in helping, but I'm just saying what needs to be said. And what happens next really concerns me, because this is when Mark really starts to tweak out. He grabs Conquest by the collar and repeatedly punches him in the face, again and again and again. However, he did all of that just for Conquest to catch his punch and toss him around the whole damn city. I'm talking he dragged him through buildings, dislocated his shoulder,
man, shut your bitch ass up, nigga. Nobody asked you how to bitch ass thing first.
And with his size 13, 300-pound feet, he caves his chest in, riding him like a surfboard the exact same way Jigen did Sasuke. Furthermore, he started talking shit about Omni-Man, saying when he was a teenager he had so much potential, but now he's a disgrace. As Conquest finishes his speech, he's about to kill Mark, but Oliver comes up with a save. But that might have been a mistake, because now Conquest's full attention is on Oliver, as he backhands Mark, telling him to rest, and prepares to rip Oliver in half. Mark manages to stop Conquest from turning Oliver into a Kit Kat, and Cecil pops up to take Oliver away to safety. Shifting back to the fight, Conquest is gripping the back of Mark's neck, and he does the exact same thing Omni-Man did to Mark in Season 1. Massacring all of these people just for the love of the game. And I would hate to be a person in the Invincible universe. You could be enjoying your day, and now a whole Viltrumite comes to kill you just for the sake of it. A few moments later, Adam Eve is killed by Conquest, Mark is losing his mind, and Cecil don't ignore that man's cries for help. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with Conquest. Mark, realizing no one is coming to save him, decides to do it himself, clashing with Conquest, destroying his cybernetic arm, but breaking his in the process. He actually begins to one-up Conquest a bit until he gets distracted, which gives Conquest the time to grab him by the neck, slam him into the ground, and whisper in his ear,
"I came looking for booty."
Then he goes on a rant talking about how the Viltrumites are all afraid of him and no one wants to be his friend.
This is going to be amazing.
Do you know how crazy you have to be for Viltrumites to be scared of you?
Why are we whispering?
Exactly. We was sparring, right? I looked down and see this nigga fighting me full jump. Yeah, we all built for war, but he built for massacre. I can't breathe. Dodges, counters, and parries. 3 things this nigga has never done. He want to get hit, that shit turn him on. You think I'm joking? Here, take this, take this.
Where you get a stethoscope?
Here, go.
Okay, what now?
Say his name.
Conquest?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. We follow orders. He follow urges. You don't fight Conquest to win. You fight and hope he get bored. He body slammed me to the Earth's core and then kissed me on the neck. Get the fuck off me, freak ass
So
nigga.
sit your ass down. Thank you.
I wonder why. Luckily for Mark, before he's about to die, he pops a totem of undying and fires a Gallic gun point blank at Conquest. But he is still not dead. As he stands up looking like a biology diagram, Mark, with 2 broken arms and a destroyed ACL, begins to headbutt Conquest repeatedly until he stops breathing, ending the fight. Mark wakes up in the hospital, vowing to never hesitate to kill anyone who threatens his family again. They hold a funeral for Rexplode, in which directly after, Mark gives Eve the Invincible D. I hope you all enjoyed this video, since it's going to be the last video we post for a while since we're starting tests and things like that. And if you did, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.